Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to adjust the tension on your chain on a CBR600RR. This will apply to the years 2003 and 2006. What are the tools you need for this job? Well, you need a 32mm socket because the bolt on the axle is 32mm size. You need a torque wrench so that when you retighten it back down to 83 foot-pounds-feet of torque, then you have the ability to do that. It's very important to follow the rules and be strict on them when you're working on motorcycles. You also need a size 8mm open end wrench to adjust the nuts behind the axles right there. Also, if this is about a good time to probably clean your chain as well, but I'm not going to do that. And by the way, I also have a ruler because the slack is measured around inch and a quarter. I usually just guesstimate that, make sure that my chain is not too tight or not too loose either. What I mean by that is if it's too loose, if it's hitting the bottom of your axle, then that's too loose. If it's too tight and there's no play, then that's too tight. Over tightened chain is not good for your chain anyways because you're going to prematurely overstretch the chain. But if it's too loose as well, then it's going to be slapping your axle and there's possibility of it loosening up and you getting into an accident. So those are the reasons why it's important to adjust your chain. Every 500 miles is the rule to check your chain and make sure it's ready for adjustment. Most of the time, out of habit for riding, I check the tension of that chain because as you're riding, then things happen and chains stretch and overstretch. If you didn't know already, the way the axles work on a motorcycle is that when you accelerate, that the axle moves in towards the body of the motorcycle. It doesn't move out or it doesn't flatten out. It moves in because the tension above the chain moves it into the transmission and the axle. So and that's how you stretch your chain. Inevitably, if you have a lot of mileage on your motorcycle and you've had a chain that's been around for a while, more than likely you probably need to replace it or shorten the chain. But I highly advise just replacing it. It's worth the money changing a chain and worth it outweighs the benefit, right, of the cost. So that's one of those things. Don't go cheap on your motorcycle, by the way. Motorcycles are two-wheel vehicles, and if you go cheap on them and things break while you're riding, then it can be unsafe. So that's my advice. So let's go over the steps on how to adjust this chain. So how would we know if we have a bad slack or the slack is not right anymore? Where one, the chain shouldn't be touching the bottom of the axles right here, right? This is too much slack. Normally you would want it about, from top to bottom, about 1.25 inches. So about right here from top to bottom. So without that plastic, you want the slack to be around right here. So there's a little bit of tightening that needs to be done so that it can be correct. My chain probably needs a little bit of work, some cleaning to do now because I've been riding it for a little while without cleaning, but I will clean that later on. So how do you adjust the chain? What you do is you loosen up the axle bolt on this end and the other end, and once you loosen that, you'll be able to adjust this nut right here with the 10mm open ends. And what you want to do as you adjust that very slowly is do the same thing you're doing on this side and the other side. And if you look on top of this adjuster, there's grooves, and what you want to do is probably adjust it on the grooves a little bit at a time so that you can get the tension you need and not over tighten it. The problem with a really tight chain is that obviously it's prematurely stretching so that you don't want to do that. You gotta remember that when the back axle, how it works, when you accelerate, this whole thing actually moves in instead of it moving out. It moves in when you accelerate the motorcycle, and that's why the top of this gets stretched really well. Okay, this has just become interesting because that is not a size 10, and rather I'm using a 5/13 or 5/16 to adjust it. So a little bit at a time. If you loosen them up, then what I would do is just adjust it a little bit at a time, maybe about a quarter on that side. I'm gonna go over to the other side. Do the same thing here, about a quarter. And that much movement is plenty enough to adjust it, in my opinion. Let's go check. Okay, if you notice, that is way too tight now, right? Because that was way too much adjustment. So we're gonna go back and bring it back in, maybe a couple of millimeters in, so that we loosen up that side. What I would do is probably go in just right before that line. Right before that line. Check again. Getting there. Right? Too tight, in my opinion. Right on the line now. All right, so let's go through here. Check it one more time. Okay, so in my opinion, the right way to check it is to remove this bottom plastic right here. But I'm just gonna compensate with my ruler right here. And about the ballpark. So right now it's slacking around 1.25 inches right here, which is where I want it to be. Alright, it's no longer touching that top right there, but it's got a nice slack to it, and I think that's perfect. Alright, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna tighten up, double check one more time, make sure we have the right back here. You want the lines to be exactly where it is on both sides. you want this line to be exactly correct on both sides, because that is the way that your back tire is square, right? So I'm looking at it exactly the same length. So now time to put it all back together. Again, 32-inch socket. We're gonna use our torque wrench. And set it at 83 foot-pounds. Okay, give it a rotate. Make sure that she's not too tight in there. Let's put it in neutral. Couple of rounds, and there you go. And we are good to go. Looks squared. Looks ready to ride again. Check, check. All squared away. Alright, thank you very much for watching. It's not that hard, so you can do it yourself. Learn how to do and work on your own motorcycle, because by doing that you're learning how it works and also keeping yourself safe and putting your safety on your own hands. And for me, that's important. So learn how to work on your motorcycles. Hey, thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments or additions to what I've already covered, please comment on the comment section below. Also, please don't forget to subscribe on my channel and hit that notification bell so you know every time I upload a video. I'll talk to you soon.